Hi, welcome to Codeforces. In this episode of Daily Dose, we'll be solving a TCS-Wipro coding interview question. And the name of the question is max signal. Here we are given an input binary string. So in this case, let us say we have 1010000. So with this input, we have to find the maximum strength of the signal in this given string. So in this case, 1 represents on and 0 represents off. So we have to find the maximum duration for which we have 1, that is the signal. So for this sample input, our output would be 1 as we do not have any other consecutive 1s. So let us see how to solve this problem. So we have this string, let us start with traversing the string. So here we are at the 0th index of this string. We have 1. So let us add it to the count as it is a positive signal and the max variable will be incremented as 1. So we'll move on to the next element, we have 0. So the max value is still 1 and the count value is changed as 0 because we did not have continuous ones. We'll move on to the next element, we have 1. So the count value would be 1 here and we'll check whether it is greater than max. It is not. So still the max value would be 1 and similarly we'll move on till the end of this string. So at the end of this string we have a 1, so the count variable will be 1, but since we did not have any consecutive ones, the max variable is still 1. But if we had consecutive ones like shown here, the max variable would have been 2 and the maximum signal of course would have been 2 because of that, and we would have returned the value of 2. But since we did not have any consecutive ones in the sample input that was given to us, our output would have been 1. So it would be returning 1 and the output would have been 1. So this is the logic that we are using to solve this problem, traversing the string and checking whether the number is 1 or 0. If it is 1, then we are having the count variable as 1 and the max variable is storing the maximum number of consecutive ones. So that is our maximum signal and we are storing it. So if we encounter a 0, then we are changing the value of count as 0 since we are not having continuous ones, and the max variable will store the maximum frequency of ones that we had in a continuous way. So let us move on to the code and program this logic. So here we are in the compiler and we have the main function and the max signal of function. So the main function has the sample input n is equal to 6 and the example that we just saw. The max signal function is called and we have to complete this function to complete this program. So what is our step 1? So the first step is to initialize the values that are count. The count is initialized to 0 and the next value is max. We have the max value as 0 as well. And then the flag variable. So why do we need this flag variable? We'll see in just a minute. So as we saw, we need to traverse this string and then check whether the value is 1 or 0. So if it is 1, we are changing the value of count as 1 and incrementing the value of max as well if it is greater than the previous max value. So let us start with the traversal. So for int I is equal to 0, we are traversing till I is less than n, which is the length of the string, and that is given to us as the input. So I plus plus. So what is the first thing that we need to do? We have to check whether the element that we are pointing to is a 1 or a 0. So if string of I is equal to 1, we are using character 1 here and not 1. Since it is a string, elements would be of a character data type and not integer. So if the string of I is equal to character 1, there are 3 things that we need to do. The first thing is to increment the value of count. So it is currently at 0 and it will be incremented to 1 if it is encountering the value of 1. If it is encoding a value of 1 again, it will be incremented to 2 and it will have the value of count till we have continuous ones. And the next thing is we have to change the value of flag to 1. Since we have encountered a 1, we have changing the value of flag to 1 and we'll use it in the else if part next that we are going to write. So the next thing is we need to check whether the count that we have is greater than the existing max value. So if it is greater than the existing max value, we have to increment the value of max. So max is equal to the existing count that we have. And that is the end of this if part. Now let's move on to the else if part. So what is this else if part? So this else if part will have the condition string of I is equal to 0, but at the same time it should have the flag value as 1. So what does this mean? This means we are pointing to the value of 0 right now, but at the same time the last element that we pointed to was 1. And how do I say that? I say that by using this flag is equal to 1 condition. So if the flag was 1 the last iteration, it means we have encountered a 1. So this else if part will be executed if we are at a index that is pointing to a 0, but the last element is 1. So in that case, what do? We need to change the value of count as 0. And why do we do that? We change the value of count as 0 because count represents number of continuous ones. But we have encountered a 0 in this case, and hence we are assigning to 0 and to check from the next element whether do we have continuous ones or not. This is the temporary variable, but max stores the continuous ones that we had. So count is given as 0. At the same time, we need to assign the flag value as 0. Because we have entered a 0 now, so the flag value is changed as 0 as well. So count is changed as 0 as well as flag, and that is what this else if part does. So what do we have now after this for loop has ended? So we have a max value, and what does this max store? It stores the continuous number of ones that is stored in this string value, and that is our max signal. So we need to return that max signal. So return max, and that will be printed in the main function that we have written. So let us run this program and verify our output. For the input that we have given in the main function, our output should be 1. So let us run this code and verify our output. So instead of comparison, I have used the assignment operator is themes dummy. So let us change that, run it again, and we have got the output as 1. Let us change the input with continuous ones and verify our output. So in this case, let us have 3 ones continuously. So the output should be 3. Let us verify that. And here we have got our output as 3. And that is the solution to this question, max signal. And now we are at the try-out session of this question. So if the maximum signal is represented by continuous zeros and not continuous ones, what is the output that we would get for this sample input 1011001? Let me know your answers in the comment section below. If you love this video, please drop a like and comment below if you have any questions. And please don't forget to click the subscribe button. We'll see you in the next episode of Daily Dose. Until then, bye bye.